Bottom line up front, Governor Ron DeSantis in Florida has announced that he will appoint to the soon-to-be vacated seat of Senator Marco Rubio, Ashley Moody, the Attorney General. Ladies and gentlemen, what's the golden rule on this? If you're going to ask me in the chat, love you, you all are the best, but what do you think? The answer is I don't think anything. Why? Because I only care about outcomes. That's it. And there are no outcomes yet because she's not in office and hasn't voted on anything. Very nice lady. Met her a couple times. Don't care. I want to care about outcomes. But a couple things about Florida politics that a lot of people aren't talking about yet. Hey, I just got back from a holiday trip. You know what? We were prepared. Thankfully, with all our essential medications, thanks to All Family Pharmacy, they had us all ready to go. They make it easy to get life-saving medications like ivermectin, antibiotics, hydroxychloroquine, blood pressure meds, you name it. No hassle, no red tape. When you qualify for a prescription, they deliver fast, 2 to 4 days. They'll even overnight if it's urgent. You can stock up now, be ready for anything, including emergencies. Just visit allfamilypharma.com/Bongino. All Family Pharmacy makes it simple. Customize your order or get a comprehensive package tailored to your needs. You don't need to see a doctor. They'll evaluate your request and provide the prescriptions that's right for you. It's healthcare works for you, not against you. Be proactive. Don't wait for an emergency. Here's what you need to do. Write this down. Go to allfamilypharma.com/Bongino. Order online. Use code Bongino10 for 10% off your entire order. Again, that's allfamilypharma.com/Bongino. Code Bongino for 10% off. Check them out. I just used them on a trip. Thankfully, I had some medications. I told you I was sick overseas. Allfamilypharma.com/Bongino. They saved my butt. All Family Pharma's products are not intended as a substitute for professional medical treatment or advice. Consult with your healthcare provider. All right, fellas? Let's go. So just happened, big news. Governor Ron DeSantis in Florida appoints Attorney General Ashley Moody. Very nice lady. Met her a number of times. Very nice to me. Again, folks, it's not personal. Nobody cares. You don't have to be nice. I don't need you to be nice to me. I don't need you to like me. You can hate my guts. If you vote conservative, I like your outcome. We're all about spreadsheets and outcomes. Correct in the chat. Thank you. So, assuming nothing happens with Senator Marco Rubio's confirmation, he has not resigned yet. He'll probably obviously wait till Monday. We will see Ashley Moody in that Senate seat. No reason to believe otherwise. We care about outcomes. Having said that, scrap that for a second. Okay, great. Ashley Moody, fantastic. This opens up a number of different things in Florida politics that affect the whole country. Number one is, what does Matt Gaetz do? Matt Gaetz, former congressman, as you know, was the Attorney General nominee, stepped aside. It's now Pam Bondi. You know Matt Gaetz has political aspirations. He's talked about it. Does Matt Gaetz now run for governor, or does Matt Gaetz now run for Attorney General, which is now going to be vacated because Ashley Moody, the Attorney General, will be the senator? One more thing. It's pretty obvious, I think, at this point, Congressman Byron Donalds, another MAGA guy, along with Matt Gaetz, who's a MAGA guy. Congressman Byron Donalds is probably going to run for governor. I have no inside info on that. He did not tell me that. I like Congressman Donalds a lot. Does this now open up a path? Because Ashley Moody was saying, or not saying, I should say, there were some rumors she was considering running for governor as well. So does that clear a path for Byron Donalds? I don't know. We'll see. Interesting. Just happened. Lot to get to. First, a big thank you to my colleague here at Bongino Inc., Bongino Report, Bongino.com, Evita Duffy, for supporting her dad yesterday. A really wonderful picture. There is right off the left shoulder of former Congressman, hopefully now soon-to-be Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy. There is the entire family. Evita, who we absolutely love. She hosts our show here on rumble.com/Bongino Report. You'll see Evita right there with, I believe, her 8 siblings. And then is Michael? But yeah, there's Michael right off the right shoulder. There's the top of Michael's. Michael's like 72 feet tall. Surprised you can't see him. And then obviously Rachel Duffy, Evita's mom and the host of Fox and Friends Weekend. So a wonderful family. Congratulations. Everybody in the chat, give a shout out to Evita. There's Michael. Thank you for zooming in on the top of Michael's head. He always coiffs his hair nicely, so it's good we got that shot in. Sorry, Michael, you'll be the subject of our commentary today, right? He's got the best hair ever. Who knows how long it takes him in the morning. Works out for an hour, does his hair for 2. But it looks great. So there you go. So last night, Joe Biden, I'm going to go into at length today Joe Biden's, I promised you yesterday, what he's doing out the door to burn the country to the freaking ground. I'm telling you, if you're interested in the fall of the Roman Empire, like I am, fitting every conservative male stereotype, which is okay. If you're interested, study Commodus, Caligula, and Nero, and you get Joe Biden. Take the worst of Commodus, the worst of Nero, and the worst impulses of Caligula, and you have Joe Biden. He is like the negative super friends. He's like one of these guys. Every single thing that could go wrong, you have in Joe Biden. So he gives a speech going out the door. I'm only going to play about 25 seconds of it, but I found this part to be both tragic and, again, sadly comical at the same time. Joe Biden and the Democrats who loved Silicon Valley when they were all Democrat donors and censoring conservatives, they loved them. They gave these guys a free pass to do whatever they want. Now that Elon Musk, Zuckerberg, and Bezos are engaged in this road to Damascus conversion, Elon not so much, but Zuckerberg and Bezos and others, or at least pretending to be. We don't know what's going to happen in the long run, right? We'll have to see. Let's see what they do. Now, all of a sudden, Joe Biden hates the, quote, tech industrial complex, and he's concerned about money in politics. He just gave the Presidential Medal of Freedom to George Soros. And he's concerned about money in politics. And you believe this tool? Check this out.
You know, his farewell address, President Eisenhower spoke of the dangers of the military-industrial complex. He warned us then about, and I quote, the potential for the disastrous rise of misplaced power, end of quote. 6 decades later, I'm equally concerned about the potential rise of a tech industrial complex that could pose real dangers for our country as well.
Folks, is this guy for real? These guys were in bed having relations with tech companies as long as they made sure you didn't tell people masks didn't work for COVID, which they didn't work. It was like a condom that never failed in spreading an STD, the mask. The thing never worked. Everyone who wore a mask got COVID. But if you told the truth about it, they censored you and they loved it. Now, all of a sudden, Zuckerberg, we haven't even seen, the long-term effects of these alleged changes yet. Now you've got all these Google people who just aren't kissing the left's ass, and now they're concerned about the tech industrial complex. You know what? You could take that and shove it up your... really. Nobody believes you. You guys are ridiculous. You're a laughing stock. It's why you got your asses kicked in the last election. Stop the insanity, please. All right, moving on. That whole speech last night was a joke. Nobody watched it. I mean, for a presidential departure speech, you would think most of America would care at least what he has to say. Oh, I heard nobody talking about this at all, except people who are really knee-deep in politics. It was an embarrassing, humiliating speech celebrating easily the worst presidency in modern American history, the disgraceful, corrupt, sociopathic Joe Biden. Folks, we don't do a lot of foreign policy on this show, but there's going to be a lot of interest in this topic. Now, I'm going to say in advance, as I've said often, ladies and gentlemen, I am as serious as a stroke about this. If you are one of these people, I know it's hard to look in the mirror, that hates any ethnic group at all, Hispanics, blacks, Asians, Jews, I'm sorry, but you're not welcome here. Well, I'm not sorry, but you're not welcome here. You can watch the show. I can't stop. I'm just telling you, this isn't you're not going to like my show because we don't do that shit. It's not a virtue signal. It's just true. So if you're a Jew hater and the thing is like, you just want to hate the Jews. I'm not saying you don't have a reasonable objection to peace deals. You don't like the Netanyahu government. You have objections to Israel policy. That is fine. We do free speech. I support a platform that supports all views. On Rumble, I actually invest in it. Speak your turn. If your thing is, I hate Jews and everything they do is wrong, you're not going to like the show. The show's not for you. You don't have to announce your departure. It's not an airport. You can just go. You're not going to like it. We're never going to agree. Everybody cool with that? Because I don't want to deal with 6,000 people in the chat. The Jews did it. I'm not interested in stupidity, okay? If you replace that with any other ethnic group, you'd be horrified at your stupidity, okay? So just stop. Foreign policy matters, whether it's Israel, Jordan, Ghana, South Africa, France. What happens overseas matters because we all live on the same rock. Do we have to be involved in everything all the time? No. That's open for debate. But what happened and is still happening right now about this alleged deal, I say alleged deal because nothing's finalized because you're dealing with demon savages and Hamas, and they keep changing the freaking deal. Two things can be true about this Israel-Hamas deal, which the tenets of it, as alleged, are there is going to be a prisoner exchange of Hamas demon savage pig terrorists for Israeli innocents who were taken hostage. It's going to be about 100 to 1, it looks like, at this point. Okay, which I don't think is a great deal for obvious reasons. There is no ceasefire in the deal, permanent ceasefire. I don't know who's telling you that, but that's not true. Okay, there is, however, a call to rebuild portions of Gaza, which there's always, of course, the worry that the money's going to get into Hamas's hands. So two things can be true about this deal. Number one, there's zero question this deal doesn't happen without Donald Trump winning. Zero. I get it. I said it on the radio show yesterday. I'll say it again today. I cannot prove a counterfactual. In other words, I can't prove what would have happened if Trump lost because he won and Trump didn't lose. So we don't know. I can say, however, with a reasonable degree of certainty based on what happened afterwards, that this deal does not happen without Donald Trump. Okay, this is the two things. This is number one, but this is super important. Why would you say that, Dan? Receipts matter. Because Trump won, obviously, after he won, I'll play it for you coming up, he made sure that Hamas knew that there would be hell to pay if they did not release the hostages. The same deal had been proposed by Joe Biden forever, and nobody moved on anything until Trump won. So there's your receipts that there's an overwhelming probability, number one, the deal doesn't happen without Trump. Number two, folks, this is not the greatest deal in the world. Why is it not a great deal? And I have President Trump coming up today on my radio show at 2:30 p.m. Eastern time. You can check it out on a station finder on Bongino.com. If you want to just watch it on Rumble, you can. We'll leave the show live today, so you can watch it here at 2:30. I'm going to ask President Trump about the deal, but the second point, is this is not a great deal. And it's not a great deal not because of President Trump. It's not a great deal because Biden is a narcissist and had to make it about himself. He was squeezing Israel, making sure the Democrat Party got some credit for a ceasefire deal, and he was making sure basically Hamas got everything they want. We would have gotten a 10 times better deal if they just would have waited. The Israelis. Well, good question in the chat. Many of you should ask, why didn't they wait? Because, folks, these foreign countries, Israel, whoever, they have to deal with the Democrats and the Republicans. So I'm sure a deal was cut that Biden wanted some credit. They didn't want to alienate the Democrat Party. I think it was a bad call. That's just my opinion. You're allowed to have your own. Here, you doubt me? I always bring the receipts. I'm going to give you the most honest take on this deal you're ever going to get, okay? And I don't care who tells you otherwise. This is the truth because we're going to back it up. Here is about a 30-second clip of Biden that sums up this entire debacle yesterday of a deal. Here's Biden bragging about the deal, and I want you to pay attention to a few things. First, we're going to focus on three takeaways. I wrote all this down so I don't miss anything for you. He says here, Biden, that this deal is, quote, the exact framework he proposed in May. I want you to notice he then says exact again. He says exact twice to make sure you know he's been proposing this since May. Now, why is this a self-own? Cell phone, not a cell phone. Self-own? Because what Biden's telling you here is since May, they've been ignoring him. And then Trump won, and now all of a sudden you have a deal. He doesn't even realize it because he's freaking stupid. Listen to yourself.
Well, this is the exact framework of the deal I proposed back in May. Exact. And we got the world to endorse it. Secondly, it's America's support for Israel that helped them badly weaken Hamas and its backers and create the conditions for this deal. And thirdly, I knew this deal would have to be implemented by the next team, so I told my team to coordinate closely with the incoming team to make sure we're all speaking with the same voice, because that's what American presidents do.
Notice the narcissistic, sociopathic piece of garbage Joe Biden is. Joe Biden has to make this crap deal about him. That's what I'm telling the Trump team. Let them take the credit for the crap portion of it, because the only reason there is a crap portion of it is because Biden was negotiating for the terrorists. That's why.
Well,
the exact framework.
This is the exact framework of the deal I proposed back in May.
Look, she says it again. Play it.
Exact.
He says it twice. He's got to make it about him. It's not about a peace deal. It's not about a peace deal. You understand this? This is about Biden. Biden does not want to leave office without a peace deal, no matter how bad, because he doesn't want to be Jimmy Carter during the Iran deal. I'll talk about that more in a second. Even the left-wing media is acknowledging this is a serious problem. Now, he goes on to say in the second part of this, about 15 seconds in, again, he makes it about him first. The second part of this, that thanks to America's support for Israel, they weaken Hamas. Folks, this is bullshit. Here's a CNN article himself. Biden says he'll stop sending bombs and artillery shells to Israel if it launches an invasion of Rafah, which was successful. Folks, you don't have to support that. It doesn't make you anti-Semitic if you don't support the invasion of Rafah. It doesn't. You're allowed to have an opinion. I'm allowed to have another opinion. That's the great part about this beautiful, flourishing First Amendment and constitutional republic. I support the invasion of Rafah. I think we should kill the Hamas demon savages because they want to kill us too. Why? Because I've been overseas in the Middle East many times and listened to briefings about them fucking wanting to kill us. That's why. However, put the CNN headline up again, please. Sorry. This is bullshit. Look at the date, May of 2024. Since May, I've been negotiating. Yes, you've been telling Israel to let the Hamas demon savages win. And then he has the balls to say America's support for Israel weaken Hamas. Trump's support for it. It's not America's support for Israel. What are you talking about? I'll tell you what they threatened Israel with. Withholding from them critical military resources to win this fight. That's what they did. It's obvious. Even CNN reported on it. Then there's a third part to this. I told my team to coordinate with the incoming team to speak with one voice. I want you to understand what's going on here. Joe Biden knew nobody was listening to him in Israel. He just said it in the beginning of the thing. I have talked about this exact framework since May. Since May, everybody's given him the double-barrel middle finger because he's a feckless oatmeal brains loser. Donald Trump comes in, says, give us back our hostages or there'll be, quote, hell to pay. Put that up. Put up the Trump True Social. December 2nd, 2024. This is just over a month ago, after the election, obviously. There will be, quote, all hell to pay in the Middle East for those in charge who perpetrated these atrocities against humanity. How much clearer do you want it to be? All of a sudden, after Donald Trump puts out this True Social post, wow, magically Hamas wants to come to the table. And then notice, I told my team to speak with one voice. It's not one voice. Here's what was going on, folks, and make no mistake. I want you to listen to me clearly. Biden was negotiating for Hamas. The Trump team was negotiating for peace, a fair deal, and the hostages coming back, or there were going to be a lot of Hamas dead bodies. That's what happened. I don't give a shit what anybody else tells you. That's exactly what happened. Even his own State Department had to admit it. They were afraid Biden, no matter how shitty of a deal this was, they said, hey, you want support from Democrats in the future? You're going to do this deal before Trump takes office, no matter how shitty it is. That's what happened, man. And the Trump team, their hands were tied. He's not the president yet until Monday. There's nothing he could do. He can't stop Biden from being president till Monday. It's the real scoop, man. Got a bunch of, there's no situation I'm more strongly sourced on within this operation than this. I'm telling you, this is bullshit. Biden is smoking you up. Even his own State Department rep had to admit that there'd be no deal without Donald Trump. I'll play that for you coming up next. And then the absolutely hapless, the most pathetic member of the Biden administration, Karine Jean-Pierre, who just, again, you want to talk about a self-own? She doesn't even know the State Department spokesperson. Don't doubt me. Coming up next, we've all seen the headlines. Cyber attacks on our grid, drones in the sky, violent attacks on Americans. The ugly truth is no leader, no system will protect you from everything. You're going to see emergencies no matter who's in charge. That's why you need to be prepared. Do not rely on the government in an emergency. They will let you down. That's a guarantee. Food's the first casualty. You want to be waiting on panic lines in the supermarket while your kids are starving? Of course you don't. So prepare today with My Patriot Supply like I do. Get a 4-week emergency food kit. It'll help give you the nutrition you need to stay strong in a crisis. Scratch that. Get one for every member of your family. I have multiples. Please do it. With 2,000 calories a day and 100% of daily value of 12 essential vitamins and minerals, you'll stay strong when emergencies happen and meals matter. Plus, My Patriot Supply foods are packed in ultra-durable, heavy-duty pouches. You can grab and go. They last up to 2.5 decades in storage. Right now, they're offering $50 off their 4-week emergency food kit. Go to mypatriotsupply.com now. Grab yours for $50 off. Please don't put this off. Today's the time to prepare, not after the emergency. That's mypatriotsupply.com to get your 4-week emergency food kit today. Mypatriotsupply.com. Thank you, My Patriot Supply. Here is, again, the disconnect in the Biden White House, which at this point, nobody is speaking with a coherent voice. Nobody. Why? Because Biden is losing his mind. He's got oatmeal for brains, folks. Nobody knows what he's saying because he doesn't know what he's saying. Here's the State Department rep, Matt Miller, Biden's State Department, obviously. Trump's not in charge till Monday, right? Here he is saying straight out, and this guy, by the way, is no conservative. Hey, this wouldn't have happened due to the Trump team. Then I want you to listen to Karine Jean-Pierre after, who pretends she doesn't know who this guy is. Take a look at this.
When it comes to the involvement of President-elect Trump's team, it has been absolutely critical in getting this deal over the line. And it's been critical because, obviously, as I stand here today, this administration's term in office will expire in 5 days. And one of the things that we have always said about this deal is that when you get from stage 1 to stage 2, that the United States, Egypt, and Qatar are the guarantors of this deal. And Egypt and Qatar will push Hamas to stay at the bargaining table and to get from stage 1 to stage 2, and the United States will push Israel to stay at the bargaining table to get from phase 1 and phase 2. So obviously those are promises we cannot make on behalf of the United States for any longer than the next 5 days.
I'm so sick of this. Sorry, I let that who cares? Folks, I want you to understand what Miller's saying here. What he's saying here is Trump's hands were tied. Biden is obviously still the president. As I said to you yesterday, there is no declining value of the presidency each and every day until you leave office. You were the president until the last second. You have all the powers of the presidency until the second Trump swears in. The Trump team knows that. Their hands were tied. Israel knows they would have gotten a better deal under Trump. But because Biden didn't want his reputation ruined, say he leaves office on Monday, Trump's going to get a deal right away, would have been a far better one. The Democrats and Biden definitely, when pressured and squeezed the Israelis, said, you want Democrat cooperation in the future? You're going to cut a shit deal now while Trump's hands are tied. That's what happened, bro. That's what happened. How do I know that? Because Miller's saying, hey, Trump team, thank you. Here's Karine Jean-Pierre, pretend she doesn't even know who this guy is. Can you imagine this idiot as the White House spokesperson? Check this out.
We're sort of dancing around who gets to take credit for this deal.
No one's dancing around here.
Colleague at the State Department briefed our colleagues that President Trump was critical in getting this deal over the line. Do you not agree with that statement?
I mean, look, I'm not going to speak to a random person.
Your colleague.
I don't know who this person is. I'm not going to. Oh.
What the You don't know who the State Department spokesperson is? Chat's going wild right now. The chat is melting down. Folks, is this not the dumbest human being to ever occupy an administrative position at a high level in the White House? Justin, even if you didn't know who he is, Matt Miller, why would you admit to that? Just fake it. Some random person? He's the State Department spokesperson, you moron. Listen. Thank you. My gosh. By the way, folks, we're going to be, unless she gets a show on MSNBC, this thing's going to be retired soon. shamefully. So we need to use that as often as possible. Can you imagine? Listen, let me just be clear on this up front, so don't send me any nasty emails. I am not a fan of her or John Kirby. They're both bullshit artists. At least John Kirby prepares to bullshit you. Can you imagine Kirby sitting in the back room having to listen to this idiot say she doesn't know who the State Department spokesperson is? If this doesn't sum up the Biden administration, I don't know what does. I want to close out the matter on this because I want to get to the security of the inauguration too. Politico article that should have some eyebrows raised, okay? Yeah, it's Politico, but sometimes a blind squirrel gets a nut too. I told you what's going on here. I need you to listen to me. Two things are true. This deal does not happen without Trump, and it is a bad deal. But it's not a bad deal because of Trump. It is a bad deal because the Democrats cannot have Carter Part 2. The Iranians were holding hostages. Jimmy Carter was weak. The Democrats were perceived as weak. It created a political problem. The Iranians released the hostages seconds after Ronald Reagan, who was perceived as strong, was sworn in, which made the Democrats look so bad they didn't win another presidential election for 12 years. The Democrats are terrified that Trump gets into office on Monday, drops a freaking Moab on a Hamas facility, the hostages get released, and Trump looks like a hero. So the Democrats cajoled the Israelis into a shitty deal and told them, you want to deal with Democrats again in the future, you better sign this deal. That's what happened. Here's ABC, no friend to us, the hapless Martha Raddatz and David Muir, whatever the hell his name is, acknowledging that they're terrified of Carter Part 2 here. Don't listen to me, listen to them. Check this out.
Martha, you know, we're all students of history here. We were just on the air last week with the passing and the service for former President Jimmy Carter. And it's not lost on you and me that this agreement comes really in the final days of the Biden administration. In fact, it takes effect Sunday, January 19th, the eve of the inauguration of President-elect Donald Trump. Really no question here, even from the Biden administration, that both administrations deserve credit. The Qataris pointing out President-elect Donald Trump's envoy in the Middle East as having helped the Biden team together as a force there going into this new administration. But even though they're very different scenarios, there has been extraordinary human suffering in this war. Some of the political parallels, you can't ignore that this is happening in the final days, the final hours of the Biden administration.
Exactly, David. And we were talking about this just last week during Jimmy Carter's funeral. Those Iranian hostages, those American hostages held by Iran for 444 days, Jimmy Carter put his heart and soul into that. And that probably in some ways cost him re-election. But the deal was not made until Ronald Reagan, just hours after Ronald Reagan became president, a punch in the gut to Jimmy Carter by Iran.
This destroyed the Democrats for 3 presidential cycles. You think they're stupid? The Democrats may be demonic in many respects, the liberal wing, okay? They're not stupid. They understand if Trump swears in on Monday and Hamas and Israel agree to a deal and you see hostages walking out hugging their families under Trump, the Democrats will be finished again and Trump's approval will jump. Oh my gosh, this is about politics? I thought it was about saving lives. I'm sorry you believe that. Even the left-wing media people are acknowledging it. By the way, thank you. There's David Muir, clothespin guy. Had to make sure he had a nice tailored fire jacket going on there. That's who these people are. I always bring the receipts. I'm never going to let you down. Even they're telling you it's true. If the Israelis would have waited a few more days, they would have gotten a far better deal. It's Biden was the Hamas negotiator. Here's one last clip on this. A hat tip Colin Rugg. It's a side-by-side. Here's Biden, who is so offended when someone from the media asks him, hey, is Donald Trump responsible for this deal? Is this a joke? Then I want you to watch why the deal happened right after that. And you'll see what I'm telling you is true. Check this out.
Who took credit for this, Mr. President, you or Trump?
Is that a joke? Oh, thank you.
If those hostages aren't back, I don't want to hurt your negotiation. If they're not back by the time I get into office, all hell will break out in the Middle East. And it will not be good for Hamas, and it will not be good, frankly, for anyone. All hell will break out. I don't have to say anymore, but that's what it is.
Folks, this guy has mother grapefruit for balls, Trump. That's why this happened, period. There is no deal without a Trump victory. None. And don't forget it. Quick break, and then I got to get to some very serious stuff again about the inauguration. Some good news, some bad news. However, can they get a coherent story? The FBI just told us the other day that they're not tracking any threats. However, there's a Politico article that's about a security assessment that says they may be tracking some threats. So what is it? Are they talking in general, in specifics? Who cares? If there's a threat, there's a threat. Quick break. We'll get right back to that. You resolved to get healthier this year? I've got the solution for you. You know what? I'm going to read this myself because I really enjoy this product personally. This has helped me dramatically. I have my own blood work to prove it. I've shown it to you many times. I'm 50 years old. I'm not that old, but I'm not that young. I take Field of Greens twice a day. It is a staple of my diet. My wife asked me the other day, if you only could take 3 or 4 supplements a day, what would you do? I told her collagen, vitamin C, vitamin D, Field of Greens. Field of Greens is ground up, healthy, wholesome fruits and vegetables. You take a scoop of it. It tastes delicious. I like the wild berry. There's a lemon lime. I put it in green tea. You can put it in whatever you like. A juice, you can put it in water. You can put it in a protein shake. It promised better health. Well, how in the world can Field of Greens promise better health? Because each fruit and vegetable was doctor selected for a specific health benefit, heart health group, lungs and kidney groups, metabolism, even a healthy weight. 1 drink a day is all it takes. I take 2, your call. You'll look and feel healthier with more energy fast. Your doctor will notice your improved health or your money back. You can't beat that. No risk for you. Get 20% off your first order. Try it today. Make that. You got a New Year resolution. You want to get healthier? Here's how you start. 20% off with code Dan at brickhousenutrition.com/Dan. Pick up Field of Greens with code Dan at brickhousenutrition.com/Dan. brickhousenutrition.com/Dan. I swear by that product. They've been with me a long time. Our last sponsor today, we'll get right back to the show. Helix Mattresses. It's an award-winning mattress. It's the only mattress in my house. If you're not sleeping good at night, ladies and gentlemen, you're operating at 70, 60, even 50% of your best. Our guests love these Helix mattresses as well. We have them in the guest room. HelixSleep.com/Dan is how you get started. They've got mattresses for snoring, back pain, sleep apnea. You sleep too hot, go to Helix. They've got a solution for you. Good night's sleep is one of the best ways to improve your health. Helix Sleep can figure out which mattress will work better for you. I know it's been helping me feel refreshed in the morning. It's why the shows have been really energetic. Got a nice compliment from my doctor friend the other day. It's because I sleep good. Once your mattress is delivered, you can finally get some comforting sleep. Right now, for Dan Bongino Show listeners, Helix is offering 20% off site-wide plus 2 free Dream Pillows with a mattress purchase. That's Helix, Helix, HelixSleep.com/Dan for 20% off site-wide plus 2 free Dream Pillows with a mattress purchase. Helix, Helix, HelixSleep.com/Dan. Check them out. Get yourself a great mattress. Thank you, Helix. Okay, back to the show. Folks, again, given the prior line of work, you're all aware of at this point. No need to repeat it. I am extremely concerned about President Trump's security. I'm not the only one. Of course, you are as well. It is the question I by far get the most on Facebook, True Social, Rumble, in the chat. I told you the other day that I have sources too. I really don't care if the media respects me or my sources. I've been right. They've been wrong. I don't respect them. It's not symmetrical. They have been wrong. I've been right. I'm hearing that the threats to the inauguration are real. Will they materialize? Folks, the threat to President Trump is real every day. It doesn't mean something's going to happen in the inauguration, because there may be a security plan to, in fact, mitigate specific threats. You get what I'm saying? But the threat is real. And I don't want to be told by anyone that the threat isn't real, because my sources are good and your sources suck if you're in the media. I told you the other day that when the FBI agent said, well, they're not tracking any specific threat, that I'm kind of on that. All of a sudden, this Politico article comes out. Trump inauguration is a potential target for threats, agencies warn. Apparently, there's a security assessment ahead of the inauguration which reflects a heightened political and potentially violent environment in which President Trump will assume power. It sounds like something I told you. The security assessment isn't great. Having said that, having been involved in inaugural security in the past, the security assessment's never great. Does that mean something's going to happen? It doesn't. Does that mean I'm not concerned about it? It definitely does, and I am concerned. I am specifically concerned about the threat from drones. Apparently, there's some people in the Secret Service I don't know who these people are because they're anonymous. In this fantastic article by Susan Crabtree on Real Clear Politics, Secret Service readies for higher threat Trump inauguration. This is in the newsletter. Please read it. Bongino.com/newsletter. You'll get these articles every day. It's free to sign up. I want you to read this one. On his Tuesday podcast, Bongino argued that the FAA's temporary flight restrictions for drones and aircraft are not easily enforceable, describing them as stop signs that can be violated, which is true. Ladies and gentlemen, yes, there are other measures. I'm just telling you, this is not some iron wall around D.C. that can't be violated. And it concerns me that I don't think people in the security D.C. capital region are prepared for a worst-case airborne assault scenario. I'm getting that from sources. Are my sources right? They've been right in the past. Said they're basically suggestions. If it isn't, this is Crabtree talking. There are other things we can do to make sure planes and drones don't violate the flight restrictions, Bongino said, noting he didn't want to disclose methods. However, I'm not sure we have the manpower for all that. Now, hold that thought. Notice actually, go back to that a second. However, notice the last, Susan Crabtree's quoting me. However, Dan Bongino, I'm not sure we, meaning the Secret Service, has the manpower for that situation. In other words, to do what has to be done right now to enforce that aerial security picture up in the air. This is the strangest thing. Here's part 2 of this. Some insider at the Secret Service basically acknowledges what I said while simultaneously brushing it off. Multiple Secret Service agents brushed aside specific concerns about drones, citing far more systemic and ongoing challenges the agency faces that can negatively impact security, including manpower. I just fucking said that. Can you go back to screen 1? This is what I'm talking about. You trust me? Or do you trust these other guys? I'm not sure we can secure the airspace, basically, because I'm not sure we have the manpower. Screen 2. Well, they brushed that off, citing manpower concerns. That's what I fucking said. Holy shit, man. And I'm sorry if you're offended by the language. I'm a kid from Queens, but I'm serious about this stuff. Agents pointed out an internal email sent out Friday, manpower update, where they basically talk about how stressed out everybody is and how tired they are and how they can't find people. Holy Moses, man. They brushed off Bongino's concerns while doubling down and saying he's right. Guys, whatever, man. I don't waste any more time on this. Stupid. And this topic isn't stupid. It's just, this is really dumb that you've got people out there doing this inside the service. Oh, they brushed off the concerns. We've got this, except he's absolutely right that there's no manpower. Why is there no manpower? Because your Secret Service is doing 1,000 things. And if anyone from the Trump team calls me about this, I'm going to make sure that I push to get this guy's life and his family's life secured by stopping the Secret Service from having their agents do 10 missions and have them do 1. Keep this guy alive no matter what. That's it. We don't need to be doing nick-mick. We don't need to be doing credit card cases, counterfeit cases. Those are all important things. Let the IRS, let TIGTA or Treasury or let DHS do that. HSI, whatever. We don't need to be doing that. That's not what we do. You going to listen to me or are you going to listen to the people at the top who've got this guy nearly killed twice? Who's got the agenda here? I don't need a freaking job. You think I need a job? We have the #1 podcast in the world right now for conservatives by far. You think I need a job? I don't need shit. They need to preserve their jobs. Who are you going to trust? Who are you going to call? Sorry. I'm way too serious sometimes. I promise you, man. I'm full of joy, man. I wake up every morning with affirmations. Every morning. Say, I'm Dan Bongino. I love Jesus and Jesus loves me. I wake up every morning and say, I'm Dan Bongino. Only good things happen to me. I don't care if you think it's goofy or not. I'm not asking you. It's what I do. I wake up every morning and say this stuff because it matters to me. And you know what else I say? I'm Dan Bongino. I'm full of hope and happiness. Keeps me grounded every day. Laugh at me all you want. I've been a happier, more grounded person ever since I started doing that. Reset your brain first thing in the morning. Try it. Don't laugh until you try it. First thing in the morning when your brain is still fresh. Say, I'm Joey Bag of Donuts. I'm full of hope and happiness. I am. We can fix the Secret Service. There's a lot of great guys over there, but there's a lot of work to be done. One of the first things we're going to do, or I'm going to push for, if anyone's interested. If you are, you are. If you're not, you're not. Like I said, I have the Trump transition team. I have not spoken to them about this. I want to be crystal clear. We have got to get the Secret Service back, along with our military, to universal standards. This Pete Hegseth brought this up repeatedly in the hearing the other day. I'm going to tie these two stories together. Ladies and gentlemen, there is no reason why in the military or the Secret Service, a job that could involve potential hand-to-hand combat, firearms combat, that there should be any fitness disparities between males and females. If you're a female who wants to be a Secret Service agent, the Secret Service values you. There is a role for everyone in the Secret Service as long as you can meet standards. As long as you can meet standards. Matter of fact, having been there, I can tell you for a fact, there are roles men can't do. You have female Secret Service agents. When a female protectee goes inside the bathroom, it's kind of weird for a guy to go with them. However, we have to have standards. Standards. It is important. Not standards for women and standards for men. Because when the bad guys start shooting at us, they're not going, is this a woman or a guy? When they want to kick your ass and beat the crap out of you, they're not interested in what sexual parts you have. Charlie Kirk brought this up the other day in light of what Pete Hegseth was talking about up on the Hill. This isn't about women in combat. It's about standards in combat. Charlie notes that an Army servicewoman gets a perfect score deadlifting 210 pounds, which is notably not as heavy as one soldier wearing a full 100-pound kit. Men need to deadlift 340 pounds to get a perfect score. Hegseth's 100% right to demand gender-neutral combat standards. There are the standards yourself. You can look at them if you'd like on Charlie Kirk's feed if you want to look at it in detail. Some of you in the military already know this. The Secret Service has the same thing. When I was there, not aware of the standards now. They haven't briefed me in. I'm not an agent anymore. I believe guys needed to do 9 chin-ups, not pull-ups, but chin-ups when you're supinated grip, right? Which isn't even a lot to get a perfect score. It should be closer to 15 to 20. And then women, I don't know how many, 4 maybe they had to do. That's not the same thing. I don't understand. If Donald Trump, who's a big guy, he's well over 6 feet tall, he's a big, husky guy. I don't understand what's going to happen with a woman on the detail. You're going to go, hold on, my fitness standards were different. I can't carry him out of here? Please explain to me in what universe that makes sense. No, I know. He's a CrossFitter. 340 deadlift is not easy, folks. There's probably less than 1% of 1% of guys on the planet who can do that. Gym goers is probably maybe 5% or less, maybe less than that. But, you know, if you're in the 1,000-pound club, bench, squat, deadlift, and you can total that for 1,000 pounds, you're in like the 0.0001%. But you want to get an excellent score, that's what it means. We have to be lethal, which involves our soldiers being in shape. I want to get to this because it was the title of today's show. We opened up with Biden's dreadful, ridiculous, tragic, at the same time, almost hilarious speech last night. You had to laugh at this guy, thinking that he's some kind of transformative figure. But folks, it's very serious. His reign of destruction out the door, pay very close attention to this segment, is not over. He still has a few more days to screw the country over. None of his powers are diminished at all until the second Donald Trump swears in. We haven't played this guy in a while. Love this guy in his feed. Peter St. Onge, very smart guy, focuses on economics a lot. I want you to listen to this segment. I know with the economics, this is important to know what Biden's doing. Folks, they are shoveling money out the door at a ridiculous pace right now before Trump gets in there to make sure that their lobbyists, their war machine people are paid off, their insiders are paid off. And the problem is that this money shoveled out the door is going to detract from the GDP numbers when Trump gets in office, making his growth numbers look bad, doing this on purpose. I know it's a little complicated. I'll quickly explain to you the scheme, but listen to St. Onge explain the gist of it first. Check this out.
Joe Biden's handlers are looting the Treasury on the way out. Now, granted, it's very normal for deposed dictators to fly out pallets of cash as they scamper off to Moscow or Dubai or Delaware. In Joe's case, he's in line to push $2 trillion out the door before Trump takes office on January 20th, 800 of which will be deficit. Now, $2 trillion is over 30% of the annual budget, meaning Trump will have to trim spending for the rest of the year just to break even. Now, lower spending mechanically subtracts from reported GDP, which makes Trump look bad. In fact, it could knock almost 2% off GDP growth. Beyond looting the republic to sabotage Trump is what Joe is dumping the money into. You guessed it, donors. Since the election just 8 weeks ago, Biden's announced 4 aid packages for Ukraine, with a 5th in the work. That's for a war that's about to end, indeed, which was a lost cause from the start, but has been fantastically profitable for military contractors who own both parties.
Folks, he's shoveling this money out the door because the formula for GDP, gross domestic product, how the United States economy is growing, the formula is it's a C plus G plus I plus X minus M. It's consumer spending, government spending, investment, exports minus imports. It's not a perfect formula at all, but government spending is the G in there. He wants the government spending portion of it factored into his GDP number and stolen from Trump. He doesn't care where the money goes. I'm telling you, what this guy's doing right now is he is burning a path of destruction out of the White House, and he's doing so many awful things between Cuba and Elon, suing Elon, everything. I'll get to that in a second, that these stories are getting lost. E.J. Antoni, who's an economist over at Heritage, I believe, who's been on my show many times, notes that the interest on the debt last month under Biden, the interest we're paying on the debt was $140 billion. That was 66% of all of the income taxes collected in December. Think about that. Every single human being in the United States that paid income taxes, 66% of your money didn't finance the military, social spending, Social Security. They were paying interest on the debt, not even the debt itself. Do you understand how catastrophic a situation Biden's left us through the Inflation Production Act, the American Rescue Plan, Porculus, and all this ridiculous government spending? That's why inflation's exploding again. This is the shit sandwich this guy's leaving us with. You doubt me? Here's a left-wing station acknowledging inflation spiking again because we're spending a shit ton of money out the door. Check this out.
The bad news, 2.9%. That's the annual inflation rate. This was hotter than expected. It's the third straight month where this number has gone up, further away from that 2% goal. And this is the highest since July.
Folks, that's not an accident. We're printing money we don't have. Where does the money go? Into the economy to chase products. The products can then charge more money because there's more money chasing the products. This isn't complicated. Did you see this story out the door? I covered it yesterday. Biden's SEC, Securities Exchange Commission, is suing Elon Musk with just days to go in office over Twitter stock buys. This is hilarious. Alleging that there was an underpayment. Elon overpaid for Twitter dramatically. There's not a single person with an ounce of reason, common sense, or a functioning neuron that believes Elon got a deal on Twitter. He overpaid. This guy if anybody got screwed, it was Elon. The SEC suing him. Why are they suing him? Because Biden knows the case is bullshit, wants Donald Trump to come in and his SEC to dump this frivolous ridiculosity so then the left-wing media vulture assholes can go, Donald Trump is a tech oligarch. Look what he's doing. Just like the speech in the beginning of the show. The good news is we pretty much own the media now, and we'll just knock that down just like we did the car bloodbath hoax. And that's not going to work. I already told you it's bullshit. Donald Trump and their SEC should dump this ridiculous nonsense day one. Elon overpaid for Twitter. He should get a refund. Daily Mail. Biden's sneaky and dirty plot to slow down Trump on day one, despite promising a smooth transition. You see what Biden's doing? Making people Schedule A employees and moving around the line of succession to make sure as people resign, Biden people are in charge long enough before Trump confirmations to screw everybody over. And Biden appointees, because they're rescheduling them to different schedules, you can't fire them easy. Folks, this guy is a metastasizing cancer, Biden, on the ass of humankind. That's what he is. He's destroying this country out the door. And it's freaking gross to watch. I love this place. This is embarrassing. No president in modern times has done this. No one. There's nothing this guy's doing to make the country go through a smooth transition. I don't even think he should show up. I think he should just leave the White House. Really. He doesn't even deserve to be there. Folks, I want to get this in before we got some time left here too. There's another hearing debacle happened yesterday, and the left is just clocking L's here left and right. To watch it, candidly, is hilarious. I know you had Pam Bondi yesterday, but there were a number of other hearings yesterday as well. Russ Vought at OMB. This is hilarious. This is Gary Peters. He is just another moron senator from Michigan. Senator Gary Peters, who seems completely unaware during a hearing that there was congressional action to move money between accounts to build the border wall. He seems totally unaware of this despite being a legislator. And I believe he was a congressman too. Here he is questioning Russ Vought, and Russ Vought having to correct this guy and do his job for him. This is funny. Watch this.
And I'm deeply concerned about reporting that indicates that you designed the plan to abuse the National Emergency Act to circumvent laws passed by Congress by moving military construction money to build the border wall. Do you commit? So my question for you, sir, is do you commit to not recommend the use of presidential emergencies to accomplish the president's policy agenda?
Senator, with regard to that instance in our first term, we were specifically using the transfer authority that had been provided in the language of the Department of Defense appropriations to be able to transfer that authority to the Army Corps of Engineers for its use on the border wall. It was specifically a transfer authority that Congress had given the president in the underlying appropriation.
My gosh, these guys are so stupid. Can you imagine not knowing that? And then again, saying it, it's like Karine Jean-Pierre. All right, you don't know Matt Miller because you're not that bright. You don't have to acknowledge it and show the world how stupid you are. Never ask a question. How many times do I have to tell you this? Never ask a question in a hearing you don't know the answer to. Don't do it. I don't know how many times the Democrats are going to get burned by this. Crazy Mazie Hirono struck again yesterday, probably the dumbest United States senator, not the dumbest member of the entire body up there. Of course, on the House side, you have AOC to deal with, Eric Swalwell, Dan Goldman. That's quite a competition over there. Marge Sadness. Here's Crazy Mazie Hirono with Pam Bondi yesterday, asking Pam Bondi, our Attorney General nominee, yes, this actually happened yesterday. You know why she's doing this, right? Lob the unfounded allegation. This is what the Rush Limbaugh used to call this a drive-by media. You throw the allegation, you hit the people, and you just drive off. Here's Crazy Mazie Hirono lobbing the craziest yet intro I've ever seen through a question, asking Pam Bondi if she's ever committed sexual assault. This has actually happened. Check this out.
As part of my responsibility to ensure the fitness of all nominees, I ask the following two initial questions. First, since you became a legal adult, have you ever made unwanted requests for sexual favors or committed any verbal or physical harassment or assault of a sexual nature?
No, Senator.
Have you ever faced discipline or entered into a settlement relating to this kind of conduct?
No, Senator.
Can you imagine you've got 5 minutes on the Senate floor in front of a national audience to expose Pam Bondi? Expose her. You're a Democrat. You got to explain. And this is the question you ask? Of course, it only got better. Here was Bondi actually exposing Crazy Mazie Hirono. Again, I think the dumbest senator. It's close, but she's up there, maybe number one. Noting that it's Crazy Mazie Hirono that actually refused to meet with Pam Bondi. If she was so concerned about Pam Bondi randomly running around and sexually assaulting people. She could have asked her in a meeting, but she didn't because she refused to meet with her, which Bondi just wrecks her on. This is glorious. Check this out.
Senator Hirono, I wish you had met with me. Had you met with me, we could have discussed many things and gotten to know.
I'm listening to you now. Could you respond to the question?
Yeah, you were the only one who refused to meet with me, Senator. But what we would have discussed is that it is the job of the Attorney General to
I'm very happy to listen to your responses.
This is how it's done. This is how it's done, kids. That's exactly how it's done. And here's how it's done, too. Here's Pam Bondi with Shifty, Adam Schiff, lying fraud, who California just elected as a senator, a lying fraud piece of garbage who made up and fabricated a story that destroyed the nation, a Russia collusion hoax that this guy's primarily responsible for. Here's Pam Bondi saying, hey, man, weren't you censured by this body for bullshit precisely like this? Check this out.
Will it be your advice to the president? No, Mr. President, I need to go over them on a case-by-case basis. Do not issue blanket pardons. Will that be your advice to the president?
Senator, I have not looked at any of those files. If confirmed, I will look at the files
and
for the
will you be able to
pardons, as well
will
as
you
the
be able to
ongoing
review
investigation.
hundreds of cases on day one?
I will look at every file I am asked to look at.
Of course you won't. So will you advise the president?
Can I answer the question?
Well, my question
I
is,
would have plenty of staff. You said, of course you want.
You'll be able to review
Listen,
hundreds
I'm
of
not going to
cases on the first day?
mislead this body, nor you.
All right, let me ask another question. You don't want to answer that. Let me answer
You were
another question.
censured by Congress, Senator, for comments just like this that are so reckless.
Folks, this is how it's done. If these hearings are going to degenerate into a circus, then listen, show the animals for who they are. That's how it's done. Don't ask questions you don't know the answer to. And when they ask questions like that, make sure you turn it back on them. Man, that was a show today. Today's show is also brought to you by ExpressVPN. You ever heard of the audience effect? It's the psychological theory that every person's behavior changes when they know they're being watched. Here's the thing. We are being watched. Every time you use the internet, your internet service provider, or ISP, is recording everything you do online, even if you're using a private browser. That's why I use and recommend ExpressVPN. With ExpressVPN, 100% of my online activities rerouted through secure encrypted servers. Makes it impossible for my ISP to see what I'm doing online because it's none of their freaking business. ExpressVPN also hides my IP address, which is the number that identifies you on the internet. Data brokers use it to build a profile on you, then they sell it to marketers and other companies. I certainly don't want to give those companies any more of my information to leak, and you probably don't either. I use ExpressVPN. It's really easy. It takes just one click, works on all your devices. Right now, you can get an extra 3 months of privacy protection for free when you use my special link. Go to expressvpn.com/Bongino and get 4 extra months of ExpressVPN. You like that? 4 extra months of ExpressVPN at expressvpn.com/Bongino. Check them out. You got to let me do the finger thing first. That's the whole, like, you guys are getting all jumpy. Michael's gone for, they're all jumpy now. Doing like the Karate Man on the keyboard there. Michael and Evita, by the way, are up in D.C. Evita's father, Sean Duffy, former congressman, great friend to my family, and an absolutely amazing human being, is undergoing his confirmation hearing today in committee. He will likely be the next Department of Transportation secretary. That's her dad. So Evita had a recorded show today, which is a very good one, by the way. But congratulations to them. I hope everything goes well. I want to count my chickens, but Sean's a good man. I don't foresee any problems. He will be a cabinet secretary. They're up in D.C., global warming up in D.C. If you're watching the show on Rumble Live, you will see Justin put up the forecast. It is now a balmy 27 degrees in D.C. The globe is definitely heating up beyond recognition. There are probably polar bears walking down the streets of Washington, D.C. now. So, folks, obviously a lot going on. I'm going to get to this Tim Kaine thing in a minute. And the reason this is important is you're being smoked up by a lot of bullshit artists in Washington, D.C., who have zero dignity, credibility, or integrity themselves and chose to attack a good man in Pete Hegseth yesterday. The most disgusting piece of filth was commie Tim Kaine. I was given a tip yesterday about Tim Kaine, and I'm going to ask you out there. I think Tim Kaine should be put under oath to answer for these, but I wanted to get to this first because there's a lot going on. Folks, I've been warning you about the threat to the inauguration through drones. I've got a lot of sources that have been feeding me information. I am absolutely unconvinced that the Secret Service has a bulletproof, pun absolutely intended, plan for a swarm drone attack in or around the inauguration. I'm not telling you they don't. I'm not telling you they do. I'm just telling you what sources are telling me, that they're not confident. Is it safe or not safe? That's a question on the margin, okay? I'm not sure. I'm just telling you I'm concerned. I really wish people would have reached out. The Biden administration, of course, can't stand me. They have zero interest in anyone with any expertise in this taking an unbiased look at it because they just don't care. But here we go. Zero Hedge. Chinese drone firm DJI eliminates the automatic no-fly zones 1 week before Trump's inauguration. Oh, my gosh. What a coincidence. The judges ruled that is an amazing coincidence. What does that mean? Folks, for those of you who operate drones, in these FAA-restricted areas, there were certain built-in automated features which made it extremely difficult for you to fly that drone into an area the FAA says don't fly there, i.e. like over the inauguration. Well, this Chinese firm, can you throw that up again? DJI, which makes an extraordinary number of parts and drones themselves, just conveniently was like, we're going to dump the automatic feature. Now it's just going to be like a warning, and the drone operator will get like a warning like, don't fly there. And as you know, right, Justin, terrorists, when it says don't fly there, don't fly there? He's 100% correct. They are absolutely law-abiding citizens. So, of course, they're going to listen to the instructions on the screen. You think that's a coincidence? Why is your boy here a little worried? You think I'm like the clickbait guy? I didn't even cover the hearing live yesterday. I prefer to be right, not first. People want to be first or clickbait guys. I'm telling you about this because I'm concerned. Am I panicked about it? No. The sack of the Washington field office and the Secret Service, Matt McCool's a very smart guy. I hope they're on top of this. I'm just saying, if your faith in the system is, well, nobody will fly a drone because we told them not to, then you better think of a new system. One more thing before we start. I'm going to cover this at length tomorrow, so don't sweat it. Ladies and gentlemen, a little bit of a language alert right now, so I'm very sorry. But there isn't a human being fucking over America with the double-barrel middle finger more than human filth pile Joe Biden right now. This guy out the door is burning America to the ground. I've been warning you forever. Have I not? Justin? Yes. Everybody after the election, I warned you that this garbage human being, this corrupt, disgusting sociopath on the way out the door was going to burn America to the ground. This is just in the last few days what he's done, and he's still got a few days left to queue at the drive-thru, Leo Getz style. Took Cuba off the state sponsor of terror list yesterday, basically handing the state of Florida to the Republicans forever now. Folks, I live in South Florida. You want to lose Florida forever? Alienate the Cuban population whose families are still in political prisons in Cuba and pull Cuba off the state sponsor of terror list. Good move, you dementia-ridden oatmeal brains piece of human filth. Good move for the Republicans because Trump's just going to overturn it in a few days anyway. You just sent a message to South Florida's Hispanic, especially Cuban population. Screw you and your families. You'd be like, wow, that was a lot. I'm not done. I'm not done. And Biden's not done either. He is going to burn the place to the ground, this scumbag. Gary Gensler and his SEC decides yesterday they're going to sue Elon Musk out the door. About what? Something that happened yesterday? No, something that happened years ago. The purchase of Twitter. Why would they do it yesterday? Because you think they have a case against Elon Musk? Bullshit! Because they want Donald Trump to come in and, of course, toss this bullshit case out to say what? Yes, you got it. Look, Donald Trump is in Elon Musk's pocket. This is all about a story, not the story. They want to create a story. Sue Elon Musk for a phantom crime that they allege happened or civil violation happened a couple years ago, okay? Sue him for that. There we go. Thank you, guys. SEC sues Elon Musk over Twitter acquisition. Alleges he underpaid Twitter by $150 million. Yes, because Elon really needs to save $150 million, fellas, right? This guy's got so many money problems. He's worth, what, $400 billion? That $150 million, that's probably a tip in a restaurant for him on a Saturday. Not even like it's probably a tip in a Denny's. He probably leaves that for the waitress. But he definitely was trying to scam people. That's it? No, that's not it. I'll go into all this tomorrow in more detail. Biden You at the drive-thru, Leo Getz style. Hey, let's go at the drive-thru. Some of you need to look that up. It was not one of the better Lethal Weapon movies, but it was pretty funny, Joe Pesci. Biden has also changed the line of succession in the Department of Justice. Why? Because people are going to resign before Pam Bondi and others are sworn in, which will leave Biden appointees in charge for just a little bit longer to make sure they can enact new rules and regulations, which are going to take Donald Trump now months to overturn on everything from immigration elsewhere. Why? Because Biden is going to burn the country down on the way out the door. At least that's it. No, it's not. No, it's not. They're at the drive-thru, okay? Biden is the guy at the drive-thru spitting in your French fries, okay? You ask for ketchup, he gives you mayonnaise. On Nate's case, that family, be careful. He is also obligating money under the IRA and the American Rescue Plan that hasn't yet been obligated to make sure we shuttle more money out the door, putting Trump in a massive multi-trillion-dollar hole before he even steps into office. Why? Because Biden won't stop until he burns America to the ground. Folks, I hate this guy. I really, really do. And you know why? It's not personal. I've been around this guy, not much. I was on the president's detail, not the VP detail. I know how disgusting he is. He's a horrifying, grotesque, filthy, gross, sniffing, kid sniffing, crackhead son loser, disgusting woman groping piece of human garbage who has never told the truth about anything in his life. And there's not a president in 4 years in modern times that's done more damage to the country than this guy. But the fact that we are going to now spend the first 2 years trying to clean up this massive mess, this scum left, is just unreal. All right, let's get back to the show about yesterday. So Pete Hegseth's hearing happened yesterday, and there were a lot of interesting things that happened yesterday during the hearing. Now, I'm covering the hearing today. You got Pam Bondi today, Sean Duffy's not going to be nearly as many fireworks. Yesterday was the big headline event. Pete Hegseth, because the military-industrial complex and the Democrats are so freaked out that Pete's going to come in there and make our military lethal and not a social experiment, so they're really pissed off. So yesterday were a lot of fireworks, but yesterday's hearing was about more than Pete. It's why I'm going to cover it today in detail. Don't make it about Pete or this thing. It's about larger things. It's about standards. It's about impropriety. It's about false narratives. It's about telling a story rather than the story. First, I'm a spreadsheet guy, folks, and I'm going to prove it to you right now. I don't get emotional. Thank you, Senator Joni Ernst. We were hard on Senator Joni Ernst. She was, I thought, giving Pete Hegseth an unusually hard time. He's more than qualified. But Senator Ernst is now pledging to back Pete for Pentagon boss. You can see the headline in Just the News. So good job. That's a +1 for me in a spreadsheet. I'm not getting emotional about it. I'm not going to forget anything that happened, of course. However, we can't say don't get emotional and then get emotional. Screw that. No, don't screw it. Good for you. I'm glad you're supporting Pete. A knock on wood here. Outside of any major now obstacles, I see Pete on a glide path now to confirmation. Let's hope that happens. He's the guy for the job. So let's get that out of the way first. But ladies and gentlemen, you won again yesterday. You did. You won again because the media, the military-industrial complex, the lobbyists, the social experiment people in the military, and failed leaders at the Pentagon for about the last now, 2.5 months since Pete was nominated for the spot, 2 months or so, have been trying to tell you a story about Pete Hegseth not being qualified. You soundly defeated them yesterday. Even the left noted Wall Street Journal, which hates Pete Hegseth, they just do read the op-ed column, even had to admit Hegseth just flawlessly parried. You ever parry in boxing? I mean, it was hapless. It was like a bunch of kids on the Democrat side were being lectured by the adult in the room, Pete. It was pretty shameless nonsense that happened yesterday. Want to play this one first. Here is Crazy Mazie Hirono, easily one of the dumbest members of Congress in general. Obviously on the House side, a matter of fact, on all sides, you have AOC, you have Dan Goldman, the dumbest male member. The dumbest United States senator, it's up for grabs, but I've got to tell you, Crazy Mazie Hirono, who looks intoxicated herself, she is easily up there on the Senate side. The clips of her have gone viral for all the wrong reasons. Here's communist, shameless Mazie Hirono, who looks drunk herself, trying to make up a story about Pete Hegseth. And again, looking like a total buffoon because she looks intoxicated herself. Check this out.
By people who worked with you at Fox News. Do you know that being drunk at work is prohibited for service members under the UCMJ?
Senator, those
yes
are
or no?
multiple false anonymous reports peddled by NBC
Do you
News
know
that run directly contradictory to the dozens of men and women at Fox News Channel who I work with who came on the record
to my question.
And said they
in your
never
opening statement, Mr. Hegseth, you commit to holding leaders accountable at all levels. That includes you, of course. And frankly, as Secretary, you will be on the job 24/7.
Okay, a couple things here. Justin said it right there. Kind of weird to be talking about someone being drunk at work while crazy Mazie Hirono is slurring her words and appears drunk at work. Was that one of those coffees with a little extra in it this morning, Mazie? I don't know. I mean, if you can lob unfounded allegations, we can too. You were drunk at work. No, Mazie, you were drunk at work. No, I wasn't. No, someone told me you were. Who? I don't know. It was anonymous. Someone called me and said Mazie was drunk at work. Who was it? I don't know. But it's got to be real because they said it. The weird thing is about these allegations, again, false smears of Pete Hegseth, is I actually worked with Pete at Fox. So did Will Kane. So did Rachel. So did Sabrina. So did all of my producers. And I believe Will, also Will who was on my team, a different Will altogether. It's incredible that we're willing to go on the record with our own names and reputations and say, don't, that's fake. Pete Hegseth was not drunk at work. You just made that up. And yet you've got anonymous people saying, no, it's true, but I just don't want to put my name on it. Okay, so you're lying. So you're lying. I worked with Pete a long time. Now, kind of lighten up the mood a little bit. Pete definitely doesn't drink at work. That I can tell you for a fact. But Pete does like to eat at work. Pete and I were good friends for a long time. We still are. Sent him a text this morning. He was nice to respond. I said, Godspeed in your new journey. You did all you can. It's in the Lord's hands now. And he knows that. Here's a little segment we did on Unfiltered. Here's Pete. This is like the happiest guy, most hopeful guy, filled with joy you've ever seen. The nicest guy, a guy who does love Jesus. He's not a man without sin. He's not going to tell you otherwise. But he definitely ate at work. You can do a lot of drinking at work. Check this out. Pete, you know, one of the things I love about you is there are like rules, whatever, on TV. You don't eat on TV. You don't do that. You know, you and I really don't give a damn about these rules anyway. But as we brought up to our audience before, no one likes eating on TV more than the great Pete Hegseth. We have accumulated more evidence of Pete Hegseth violating the golden rule of television right here. Check this out.
This is a breakfast pie. Go to Cracker Barrel, get a cinnamon roll breakfast pie.
618 Washington Street.
Mint, peppermint, kind of.
I don't know that I would order two of these. Like I might get it once.
It's good.
It feels like bread.
I'm gonna tell you, I love bread, and so I'm gonna be a little
Smells
picky
like bread.
about it. We order food on set, and we've been eating really unhealthy.
Yes, we have.
Pete.
Yeah, we should continue. You know what? It's up in the air.
You and I decided we need to start eating healthier. You said no.
I made no
you
such
have no
pledge.
interest.
I should eat more vegetables, and I don't.
Pete, man, you're just a natural, brother. You throw these 1950s, 60s TV rules out the window. You just rock and roll and do your own thing.
Dan, that was like the last 2 weeks, Dan. That was the last 2 weeks on Fox and Friends.
I watched it, brother.
You just got to dive in, brother.
I watch your show in the mornings.
I know you
and I
do.
said to Sabrina, I go, we got to do Pete eating on TV again. And I swear I said to her, I'm not kidding, she's nodding her head right now. I go, you don't even need a lot of footage. It's just the last 2 weeks, as you just said. If you look at my face in those things, maybe I was eating too much too. I must have been about 30 pounds heavier back then. In case you think I'm ever making that up. Hey, man, it's just true. But Guy, who was has helped me produce the Fox show. I don't know if you know that. Guy remembers that show. And I'm going to tell you something about Pete. Pete had to get up really early on Saturday morning. That show was taped most of the time, even though it aired on Saturday night. We used to tape it on Friday. And sometimes we would tape it pretty late. And Pete used to come on. He didn't get paid extra or anything. Why? Because he was a friend. And we just had a good time together. That's who Pete Hegseth is. I'm sorry to kind of, put that in, but I want to show you who this guy really is. I'm not trying to humanize him. He's human. He humanizes himself. He was right. Amazingly, he just said it right. Pete Hegseth is one of the few guests, by the way, who was never late. You know how many times Guy and I be sitting here like, holy shit, man, 7 o'clock is the hit time. What's hard about this? He's like the only guy who was always on time. I'm glad, you know what, him having gone through, Guy has been here the longest. He remembers all this stuff. They tried to tell you a story yesterday too, a story, not the story, and it's about bigger things. It's about DEI and lethality. Foreign enemies of the United States have tried to get our military to be about everything but lethality forever because they want the country destroyed. And the Democrats want the country destroyed too. That's why Pete Hegseth is an enemy to them. He wants DEI out and merit back and lethality back. I'll show you what I mean with this. Again, disgusting segment by Senator Jack Reed, another piece of garbage coming up next. Hey, while we may have won this election, the fight to restore our great nation's only beginning. Now's the time to take a stand. Patriot Mobile's leading the charge. They're America's only Christian conservative wireless provider. Patriot Mobile offers a way to vote with your wallet without compromising on quality or convenience. Patriot Mobile isn't just about providing exceptional cell phone service. It's a call to action to defend our rights and our freedoms. With Patriot Mobile, you get outstanding nationwide coverage because they operate on all 3 major networks. If you have cell phone service today, you can get cell phone service with Patriot Mobile with a coverage guarantee. The difference, every dollar you spend with Patriot Mobile supports a company that believes in the First and Second Amendments, the sanctity of life, and our veteran and first responders. Switching's easy. Keep your number, keep your phone, or upgrade. Their 100% U.S.-based customer service team will help you find the perfect plan. So right now, go to patriotmobile.com/Dan, or you can call them at 972-PATRIOT. You'll get a free month of service with promo code Dan. Switch to Patriot Mobile today. Defend freedom with every call and text you make. Visit patriotmobile.com/Dan or call 972-PATRIOT. Thank you, Patriot Mobile. We appreciate it. Here they are trying to tell you again a story that completely fell apart. The Democrats are in love with DEI, and I want you to notice something here. This is disgusting. Senator Jack Reed, another communist. He's trying to claim all these benefits to DEI, which should be DIE, judging people by everything but their merit, skin color, sex, all this other stuff. Notice in this clip here how he said, and you'll see this all the time. This is why this is bigger than just Pete. He cites no data whatsoever, just his opinion that DEI, which involves treating people unfairly, is somehow beneficial to our military. Check this out.
Relevant to service and the all-volunteer force visibly reflects the nation it protects. Our military is more diverse than it has ever been, but more importantly, it is more lethal than it has ever been. This is not a coincidence. Mr. Hegseth, I hope you will explain why you believe such diversity is making the military weak.
Really? You notice how they throw this out there all the time? I'm going to cover this tomorrow. There's a piece in Axios about this too, how companies are moving away from DEI, and it's so dangerous for the companies. You notice how they just make this stuff up? Can you please explain to me how hiring someone based on the melanin content of their skin or where they were born has anything to do with the lethality of your operation or the effectiveness of your corporate board, your corporation, or your small business? Please explain it to me without sounding like an asshole, please. Notice how the senator just throws that out there with absolutely zero data to back up whatsoever that DEI has anything to do with the success of your operation. It is successful in destroying it. He says I throw these Thomas Sowell clips in when we're thirsty for content. That's not today. As you can tell, I'm already 24 minutes in. I haven't got to like a quarter of the show. But the great Thomas Sowell had some thoughts on this. If there's one thing I need to get through to you about this DEI bullshit, it's that not only is it not a good thing, it is a genuinely evil thing because it requires you in the name of, quote, equity, ironically, to treat people unequally. If I am at a disadvantage because I am a white male, something completely out of my control, not because of my moral character, my work ethic, but I can't get a job, you are treating me unequally, ironically, in the name of equity. It is not just not good. It is evil and demonic, and it should be condemned everywhere. Watch Thomas Sowell on this quick clip. It's worth your time. Check this out.
No, what the government is trying to do, is to set up programs justified on the assumption that they are equalizing. I think the crucial thing is that when you try to create this equality, you don't create the equality, you create something else. I've been doing studies now for 20 years of programs designed to increase equality. They increase inequality because even when the programs are designed for disadvantaged groups, they help the affluent members of disadvantaged groups, while the lower members of those groups fall further behind than ever before. And not just in the United States, in India, to some extent in Malaysia, the very same thing is happening.
Folks, the evidence is everywhere. This DEI bullshit does nothing but divide and conquer America, has nothing to do with merit, treats people fundamentally unequally, and in the name of equity destroys equality. Do you understand why yesterday's hearing was about more than that? Do you understand why the Democrats brought that up with no evidence whatsoever? Because the Democrats want America destroyed. And the best way to do it is to defenestrate and castrate our military by moving it away from lethality and making it a social experiment. That's why people like Mark Milley, a pathetic human being, were so horrible for were destructive figures in U.S. history. Mark Milley talking about, I want to learn about white rage. Really? You want to learn about Nazism too? Does that have a role in the military? Disgusting. Of course, it got worse yesterday. Wait till I get to Tim Kaine. I'm not even close to done with this one. Here's Senator Dick Blumenthal. I want you to watch this. Dick Blumenthal, tricky Dick, a lying piece of garbage who lied about his service in Vietnam. Yeah, he was all over Pete yesterday with the faux character issues they just made up. In case you guys forgot, here's tricky Dick Blumenthal, Democrat scum, garbage commie, telling you about his service in Vietnam. Do you guys know what the problem with his service in Vietnam is? Anyone have any idea? That Justin, he's so smart. Still in college, too. There was none. That's kind of a problem. It's got a name. It's called stolen valor. Don't listen to me. Listen to him. Check this out.
We have learned something very important since the days that I served in Vietnam, and you exemplify it. Whatever we think about
service in Vietnam, that never happened. Let's get to Tim Kaine here for a minute. I'm going to show you this. Tim Kaine went on this tirade about Pete. I'm not even going to, because Tim Kaine's a disgusting human being. I'm not going to play his allegations because they're disgusting and filthy, and he's a piece of garbage. Senator Tim Kaine from Virginia. A lot of you forget he was Hillary Clinton's nominee for vice president after she got her caboose handed to her by Donald Trump in 2016. Tim Kaine went on a disgusting, filthy rant against Pete Hegseth with a bunch of anonymous, unfounded, discredited smears. So I got a little tip about Tim Kaine. But before I get into the tip about Tim Kaine, here was Senator Mark Wayne Mullen just absolutely filleting these filth bag U.S. senators for their faux character standards that they can't seem to meet themselves. Check this out.
From Massachusetts brought up about serving on a board inside the military industry, and yet your own secretary that you all voted for, Secretary of Austin, we had to vote on a waiver because he stepped off the board of Raytheon. But I guess that's okay because that's a Democrat Secretary of Defense. But you so quickly forget about that. And then Senator Kaine, or I guess I better use the senator from Virginia, starts bringing up the fact that what if you showed up drunk to your job? How many senators have showed up drunk to vote at night? Have any of you guys asked them to step down and resign from their job? And don't tell me you haven't seen it because I know you have. And then how many senators do you know have got a divorce before cheating on their wives? Did you ask them to step down? No. But it's for show. You guys make sure you make a big show and point out the hypocrisy because a man's made a mistake. And you want to sit there and say that he's not qualified? Give me a joke. I mean, it is so ridiculous that you guys hold yourself as this higher standard and you forget you got a big plank in your eye.
I think we'll be including that in our top 10 clips of the year, even though it's January. Folks, these people are disgusting. These people up on Capitol Hill are human filth. They're only up there, and the reason they're up there is because they're good liars. That's it. One of the proudest days of my life, although I didn't know it at the time, was when I lost in my race for office without sacrificing my principles. You get to be a good liar, you'll get elected. You can't lie in a swing district, you're not going to get elected. You know what? I'm okay with that. God had a different plan. But Mark Wayne Mullen is right. These people are garbage. Ask their families, ask the lobbyists. These people are filth. And Tim Kaine may be the filthiest one of all. So I'm just going to read to you, almost word for word, in order to protect the identity of a source about something Tim Kaine was up to. Maybe Tim Kaine should go under oath and ask these questions, given that he has such high standards. Hold on, Tim. I know you're watching, by the way. I know you saw my tweet. We have millions of followers. I know you saw it. You ready? Stand by. Last break of the show. You've all heard me talk about Armra colostrum by now. It's one of the best kept secrets in the health industry for a long time. Insiders have been using it. I've been using it for a very long time. Armra colostrum has thousands of people reporting absolutely transformational benefits, me included. They have tens of thousands of 5-star reviews and life-changing stories. Armra colostrum is a proprietary concentrate of bovine colostrum that harnesses over 400 living bioactive nutrients that can help strengthen the barriers of your body and help fuel cellular health for thousands of research-backed health benefits. Folks, I can personally attest to it. I put 2-3 scoops in my protein shakes every morning. Armra colostrum can strengthen immunity and gut health, improve fitness and metabolism, and enhance skin and hair radiance. We've worked out a special offer for my audience. Receive 15% off your first order. Go to tryarmra.com/Dan or enter code Dan and get 15% off your first order. That's TRYARMRA, tryarmra.com/Dan. Paula asked me yesterday, if you had to take 2 or 3 supplements a day and that's it, which one would you take first? Colostrum. Tryarmra.com/Dan. These statements are products not been evaluated by the FDA. They're not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, prevent any disease or condition. These statements and information are not a substitute or for alternative to seeking care from your healthcare providers. Thank you, Armra, and our last sponsor of the day, MyPillow. Listen, I used to wake up sore from head to toe. I used to whine about it all the time. Now, for the first time in a long time, wake up feeling great. I never knew how important a good night's sleep and your sleep posture was to the rest of the day, thanks to MyPillow. You will get a standard classic MyPillow for wholesale prices, only $14.88, but it gets even better. For a limited time, they're going to offer the same entire classic collection at wholesale prices. Get queen-size MyPillows for just $18.88. Upgrade to king-size for only $1 more. Get the body pillows for $29.88. Multi-use pillows for only $9.88. They're so sure you'll be satisfied, they offer a 10-year warranty and a 60-day money-back guarantee. Plus, all orders over $75 shipped absolutely free. MyPillow's offering an amazing deal on their classic MyPillow collection. Go to MyPillow.com. Click on the radio podcast square or call 1-800-637-4982 or go to MyPillow.com and use promo code Dan, my first name, and get these incredible offers. Once again, that's 1-800-637-4982 or go to MyPillow.com and use promo code Dan. Don't lose another night of good sleep. Thank you, MyPillow. We appreciate it. So during the show yesterday, I get a tip from a friend who says, you know, Dan, it's really interesting that disgusting Virginia Senator Tim Kaine, Communist Democrats attacking Pete, because I have an unimpeachable source, firsthand witness, who told me, well, let's just read it here, that he witnessed Tim Kaine have, quote, nephews. He notes that's not a typo, plural, nephews, come to his hotel room late evenings and leave in the morning when he was on the ticket with Hillary. He notes, and this guy has the nerve to attack Pete? Timbo, just curious, you got an answer for that? Is that a conspiracy theory? I mean, you're into unfounded allegations. The difference with this one is this seems to be founded by a first-hand witness passing this information on. What do you say about that? Do you want to go under oath? Talk about that one? Maybe you should get the people there who may have witnessed it under oath, and maybe they can talk about it. I mean, you seem to have a lot of unfounded information against Pete Hegseth you seem comfortable putting out there. What about the information against you? How many nephews do you have? Nephews? What are they doing over there? It's kind of weird, isn't it? What's going on in that hotel room? Timbo? Any ideas? Oh, you think you're above scrutiny? Oh, how dare you? How dare you? You seem to like unfounded allegations. The difference against the allegation with Pete is they're just made up. These seem to be legit. Anything to say, Tim? Do me a favor, guys. Bongino Army. You know, we're really good at this. John Fund's career is totally ruined now after he made up that story. Thanks to you, I have seen you on Twitter asking John Fund to collect his $100,000 for his unfounded story that I picked or chose Matt Gaetz and Pete Hegseth. I did not. Now let's ask Senator Tim Kaine. So go to Twitter, respectfully, of course. Ask Tim about his nephews. See what he has to say. Maybe they are nephews. Just kind of curious why they're in the hotel room at night. Just kind of weird. But Bongino Army, Anita, just marshal an effort here. Get the generals. Speaking truth, all of you all. Maybe ask Timbo. See what he's got to say about that. You know, folks, I just want you to know that the people trying to hold Pete Hegseth to this faux high moral standard they claim they live up to as well. Keep in mind, these are United States senators who are actually voting for budgets for the Pentagon. They're almost more powerful than the Pentagon chiefs themselves. Are saying we can be degenerate losers and do whatever we want. But if someone just lobs an allegation against you like you had a beer here or there, then you were definitely not worthy. If that sounds ridiculous and hypocritical, it is. And another group that bothers me, and I've told this story often, is the media. The media, oh my gosh, Pete Hegseth may have had a beer once in a while. Yeah, he's a combat vet. He's seen a lot. He's entitled to relax. He's not breaking any laws. Last time I checked, consuming alcohol responsibly was not illegal. The weird thing is, I've been on the press plane and the stories about the press plane. The press plane is the plane that flies with Air Force One on foreign trips. Ladies and gentlemen, pre-camera cell phones, if you only saw the debauchery that happened on this press plane between the infidelity and the drinking and all that other stuff, I just think if you're going to write about it, you should be honest and say, well, I'm an expert in this. I do it myself. Oh, that press plane. If we only could have taken pictures back in the day, you would never respect these media people again. Not that you respect them now. Of course, the hearing got worse yesterday. Here is the worst presidential candidate in modern American history. Kamala Harris? Maybe not. Kirsten Gillibrand. Who's Kirsten Gillibrand? Exactly. She is a really dumb senator from New York. Is she as dumb as Crazy Hirono? I'm not sure, but she's certainly up there. Watch what happens when she makes the cardinal mistake of a hearing like this. Do you guys know what it is? Never, ever ask a question you don't know the answer to. And Pete's a lot smarter than dumbass Gillibrand. Check this out.
As you said in your statement, do you agree anybody should be able to serve in the military if they meet the standards?
Senator, as the president has stated, I don't disagree with the overturn of Don't Ask, Don't Tell.
Great.
I don't care if you agree with the answer or not. Do not ask a question you don't know the answer to. Folks, I try to make this show instructive. Anybody can talk about the hearing. I'm trying to give you like little life lessons for tactical politics going forward. I'm dead serious when I tell you this. Owning the libs is great, but make sure you own the libs. And it goes the other way too. You want to own the conservatives? Then make sure you've got a guy pinned down. Don't ask a question you're not sure about the answer to, because you'll look like a freaking idiot, like Pocahontas did yesterday too. Well, you plebs to not be a lobbyist like the generals? Oh, ma'am, I'm not a general. It was a total Bart Simpson, Nelson Muntz moment. And then this happened yesterday. Tammy Duckworth, who, thank you for your service. I always say that because having said that, that still does not entitle you to be a moron as often as Tammy Duckworth is a moron. This woman if you really believe after getting smoked and getting your ass kicked in every single swing state that this is the kind of stuff that's going to save you at a hearing. Yes or no? Yes or no? Screaming like a deranged banshee, like a lunatic at a hearing, looking like a moron. Please, whoever told you to do this, whatever focus group, I will personally finance you hiring them again. Here's Tammy Duckworth having an embarrassing meltdown. Clearly is confused. Pete Hegseth is not an accountant, therefore would not do audits. And second, Tammy Duckworth seems unaware that the Pentagon has failed. Put that up, please, on the Reuters. Pentagon has failed the last 6 budget audits. That's under Joe Biden, too. Tammy Duckworth seems completely unaware of this because she's an idiot. Check this out.
Have you led an audit of any organization? Yes or no? I don't want a long answer. Yes or no? Have you led an audit of any organization of which you were in charge?
Senator, in both of the organizations I ran, we were always completely fiscally responsible.
Yes or
with the
no?
money
Did
that
you
we
lead
had.
an audit?
And the way
yes
my
or
leadership
no?
has
Did you lead
been
an audit?
stated
Yes or
has
no?
been completely
What are you afraid of? You
mischaracterized.
can't answer this question. Yes or no? Did you lead an audit? Do you not know this answer?
Senator, every
yes or
part
no?
of my leadership
yes
of these
or no?
organizations
yes
has
or
been
no? Did you lead an audit?
misrepresented
I will
from
take
top
that
to
as a
bottom.
no.
Again, this absolute imbecile, screaming like Banshee from the X-Men, right? Breaking windows everywhere like a lunatic, is apparently totally unaware that Biden's Pentagon under the black man has not passed an audit either. Oh my gosh, that's so offensive. The black man, Danny, has a name. Yes, I'm well aware of his name. His name is Lloyd Austin. The problem is Joe Biden's not aware of his name. Really? Yes, here's Joe Biden calling our current defense secretary, Lloyd Austin, the black man. Watch yourself.
It's all about treating people with dignity. And it's about making sure that, look, I mean, for example, look at the heat I'm getting because I named the Secretary of Defense a black man.
Guys, I can't with this clip. The black man. You know what? I'm going to leave a delay next time because I'm waiting for the shit show losers at Media Matters to go, oh my gosh, how offensive, right, Justin? The Dan Bongino show called the defense secretary the black man. I'm waiting. I should leave a delay so they forget the second part. But we're not calling. We know his name. His name's Lloyd Austin. Biden doesn't know his name. He's called him the black man and the general. He doesn't even know his name. Tammy Duckworth seems totally unaware of that. Again, thinks Pete Hegseth is an accountant all of a sudden. You announcing a new queen of the carrots without my permission? Tarloff is not losing that race anytime soon. Tammy Duckworth, for all her buffoonery, has to do a whole lot more to take out Tarloff. Folks, yesterday, Norm Coleman, former senator, who has been helping Pete Hegseth out, he spoke up on Capitol Hill. It's a quick clip, but it's worth your time. He talks about Lloyd Austin and how this last defense secretary, they're alleging Pete doesn't have this long military-industrial complex resume. Well, Norm Coleman brings up some interesting points. Well, all the people you seem to be hiring that do have this resume keep screwing shit up. So maybe we should try something different, like an outside-the-box perspective. This is worth hearing. Check this out.
4 years ago, President Biden's nominee, Lloyd Austin, a good and honorable man, received 97 votes on the floor of the Senate. And we went through the debacle of the Afghanistan withdrawal. Putin invaded Ukraine. The Houthis endanger our shipping lanes. We witnessed Israeli miracles against America's enemies in the Middle East, where the United States was more of an impediment than a help. Our recruitment numbers have sunk dramatically, and our southern border has suffered a slow but dangerous invasion. Yes, Pete Hegseth is an out-of-the-box nominee, and I say it's high time to get out of the box.
You're damn right, Norm Coleman. Brilliantly said. We've had inside-the-box standard CV resume nominees in the past, and what did we get? We got Iraq, we got Afghanistan. In the past, we've had the Vietnam, which we didn't have to lose. We can go back as far as you want. We had a bunch of, geniuses in the Kennedy administration, and look what happened there. You look back throughout history at these defense secretaries who've handled these situations poorly. Maybe it's time to get a guy like Pete, who was an actual door kicker in there, to look under the hood and see what's actually going on without these preconceived notions of what should and shouldn't be. And his name isn't the black man. His name is Lloyd Austin, just for Joe Biden's sake, as he destroys the country with just a few days left. Folks, just quickly on these California wildfires as well. Yesterday, I spoke about a topic. Again, I try to make, whether it's Pete Hegseth's hearing or the California wildfires, about bigger stories and narratives because they speak to who we are. And I don't mean in the stupid Joe Biden way. That's not who we are. No, I mean really who we are as human beings. Human beings tend to think in stories. They think in beginning, middle, and end. We've got to give people a coherent story. The story in California is a story of a number of different things contributing to this witch's brew. It's not all government that did it. It's not all environmental factors. A lot of things happen. Dry season, you had mishandling of government assets, pathetic leadership, water issues. You've had all kinds of bureaucratic hurdles to thinning out this dry environment. There are a bunch of things that were preventable is the point. Point I'm trying to say is I'm going to give you an honest perspective. Was it 100% government that did this? No, it wasn't. Was maybe 70 to 80% of it government mismanagement? Who knows? Could be more, could be a little less, but yeah, it's around there. The fact that lefties will still not hold themselves accountable for monopolistically running California into the ground, having the place burned to the ground, speaks to exactly the problem with the left. Whereas we as Republicans will criticize our own. That's what the whole Tea Party effort was. We will criticize free market businesses if they screw Americans over. You've got Donald Trump right now questioning a whole bunch of things from the insurance industry to pharmaceuticals. Pharmaceuticals. He just brought on Bobby Kennedy, who's hopefully going to be the next HHS secretary. No one scrutinized the pharma industry more than him. You notice how we do that? But the Democrats will never criticize government. I say that because of this New York Post article. Recall effort against Newsom is underway in California. Folks, I hope I'm wrong, but I got to tell you, if I'm a betting guy, even if there is another recall petition, I can almost guarantee you Newsom beats it again because there are still people in California like Queen of the Karens, Jessica Tarloff, and others who will just never question that maybe their allegiance to big government is misguided. Here's what I mean. Everything else is to blame except government. There will never be accountability on the left. Accountability for thee, but not for me. Hat Tip Media Research Center, they sent me this yesterday. Here's about a minute of the new media narrative. Folks, it's definitely climate change, not the dreadful mayor, not the dreadful handling of the reservoirs, not the dry fire hydrants. It's definitely climate change. Check this out.
You have to be a fool to not understand what climate change is doing to this country and the world.
Wildfires raging in LA are highlighting the risk of climate change. Yes, climate change.
The wildfires in California are the latest in a string of natural disasters made worse by climate change.
A big part of why we're seeing more wildfires is climate change.
We're going to talk about these destructive fires compounded by climate.
A lot of people talking about climate change.
Climate change set up the conditions for this supercharged fire.
Exacerbated and increased by climate change.
Climate change, which is political, but is clearly a major driver here.
Climate change will only make wildfires more common.
As we continue covering these destructive wildfires out west, the state's governor, LA's mayor, they are really fending off attacks from Donald Trump and his allies.
Donald Trump is blaming President Biden and Governor Newsom for these fires.
It is a well-worn page in Trump's playbook.
This is classic deflection because he doesn't want to talk about climate change.
Amplify lies and direct blame at perceived political enemies. Everything except talking about the intensifying climate crisis.
You notice how they just bullshit their own? Now, very few people are buying this because their houses are burning down. And even if their narrative that this was climate change was correct, what the hell did you do about it? You've been telling us about climate change since freaking Al Gore's stupid movie. You didn't do anything? That's assuming what you were saying is true, which it isn't. Either way, you dipshits were in charge. At what point do the people of California say, even if they're right, they let my house burn down because they knew about a problem they didn't fix? Do you understand how there is no scenario by which these big government scum commies can escape accountability? If you're a reasonable person, that's asking a lot on the left. Here's the mayor of LA. Just again, gross, just disgusting. She asked a pretty simple question. Hey, man, do you have any regrets? Like you weren't even in the country, despite the National Weather Service and others warning about dangerous wildfires. Like you decided to leave to go to Ghana. Any regrets? You think she'd say, you know what? That was a mistake. I ask your forgiveness. Won't happen again. Nope. She's a deep blue lefty in a deep blue city. No accountability. Imagine a corporate CEO saying this. Check this out.
Looking back, would you have taken that trip overseas?
You know, I am going to focus today
please,
on what we know.
Mayor, can I ask you one question about round?
Look at her smiling. Imagine a corporate CEO inventing a paper shredder that has a malfunction and sucks in your tie and kills everyone that uses it. Do you have any regrets? Nah. You were out of the country when a bunch of people died. Nah, no big deal. No sweat. They'll figure it out. Well, actually, they won't. They're dead. Yeah, exactly. It's figured out. They're dead. You proud of yourselves? I wonder what Tarloff's going to say about that. Well, that's not exactly what she meant. She had no regret. Folks, you cannot trust the media and left-wingers on anything. I am as serious as a freaking heart attack. Everything they tell you is a story, not the story. I will never tell you Republicans are the solution to your problems, ever. I'm simply telling you the cause of your problems are Democrats and the media. That is it. And that's a fact. They lie to you about everything. You can't trust them on drones, presidential security, FBI weaponization, media reporting, nothing. They lie to you all the time. I want you to keep your eyes on this story. Catherine Herridge is over at X now doing some tremendous reporting. She's one of the few honest people out there. This is a story that's not getting enough attention. Do you remember years ago the stories came out about these directed energy weapons? Our foreign service officers and people in embassies were coming away with these mysterious illnesses, their headaches, and they were getting nauseous all the time. And of course, the government and the media was like, that's nothing. The government says it's nothing. Really? Just like they told us the drones were nothing too? Well, Catherine Herridge got a whistleblower who's saying, I don't think they're telling you the truth. Who do you believe, Catherine Herridge or the left-wing media and the government? I believe Catherine Herridge. Watch this segment.
You were attacked. Yes. You were attacked by an energy weapon.
Yes, a directed energy weapon.
The intelligence community has attempted to thwart congressional investigative efforts to uncover the truth at every turn. I mean, that sounds like a government cover-up.
It's a cover-up, and it's terrifying, and it should be terrifying to all Americans.
The new congressional report found it appears increasingly likely that a foreign adversary is behind these injuries. Vertigo.
Yes.
Eye tracking issues.
Yes.
Traumatic brain injury.
Yes.
Did the CIA gaslight you?
Me and every other HIV victim. It was designed to make us think ourselves are crazy and question our own injuries.
Is it reasonable to think that the intelligence community doesn't want to acknowledge a foreign adversary?
Yes.
This Defense Department letter is significant.
Yes.
We believe your experiences are real.
Folks, I want to put this out in conjunction with this next piece of video from Tucker Carlson about these UAPs, drones, UFOs, unidentified aerial phenomenon. Because I'm convinced, based on my sourcing and my reporting, that the government, which you cannot trust ever for any reason, and the left-wing media, are hiding from you the fact that there are technologies out there they have no answer for. And because they've spent their time on DEI and other bullshit and not lethality, counterintelligence, and counterterrorism in an opportunity cost manner, they don't want to admit we're being out-technologied by enemies. So what do? They just say directed energy weapons? That's all bullshit. Whatever they tell you, your default mechanism should be to believe the opposite. That's why I don't dismiss things like this. Tucker Carlson's doing an interview the other day, and he's talking about a source on these Chinese drones. Did you see this? This is another thing that's not getting enough attention. I have no reason to believe he's lying about it. I've known Tucker a long time. Is the source? I don't know. But it's pretty compelling information that comports with something I've told you from my sources, that not all, but many of these drones they're seeing in the skies are China-based technology, and China and the United States government just doesn't want to admit there's nothing they can do about it. Interesting clip. Watch this.
An intel person told me that this person believed that they were in fact Chinese, and that a Chinese satellite went down, was visible to the naked eye. There were news stories about it. It evaporated, it burned up, and that this person told me that was taken down by the U.S. government. That was a command and control satellite for these drones. And the belief was the Chinese government was sending the following message: we're moving on Taiwan and maybe other things. You can't do anything about it.
Did we not say exactly that? We said that before this clip. Whoever's telling Tucker Carlson that, the sources are telling me the exact same thing. That China with the spy balloon and the drones wants you to see it. There were so many people who asked me on Facebook and Rumble during the radio show when I brought this up, why would China be so dumb to show us what they're doing? Because they want us to see it. They want us to see it. That's exactly what Tucker's hearing. They're saying, we're moving on Taiwan. Here's what we can do to you guys. Stay out of it. It's exactly what I'm hearing. This is what we can do to you. They probably wanted us to find their infiltration into our infrastructure system. I'm not telling you all these UAPs are from China. I'm telling you a good percentage of them are. And they don't want to tell you. That's why I don't believe them on these directed energy weapons either. I don't have any top-end, high-end sourcing on that. I'm relying on Catherine Herridge, who's a great reporter, and her reporting. But I believe her before I believe the G, the government, or the FBI, or anyone else. They've lied to us. Catherine Herridge hasn't. Check out that reporting.
Okay?
What the hell was that? Oh, you got it? Play that again.
Fuck you at the drive-thru, okay?
You know Leo gets? If you've not, it's not the greatest Lethal Weapon movie, but Joe Pesci, man. You go to the drive-thru, you drive away from the fuck you at the drive-thru. They are fucking you at the drive-thru. Joe Biden, I'm going to cover this extensively tomorrow, so don't miss the show. Walking out the door is giving you the double barrel. Like I've never seen, this guy is, I mean, you want to talk about Caligula? That's this guy. Tomorrow, Thursday, if you're watching this delayed, Thursday. Tomorrow's Thursday, right? Yes. 2:30 p.m. Eastern time. Donald Trump, me, my radio show. We got a lot of questions. Let's hope he has a lot of answers. Be there. We'll leave the Rumble live tomorrow, so you can stay. 2:30 p.m. Eastern. Please do me a favor. I need your Bongino army here.